Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's our favorite time of the week because we're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. So let's check them out. First off, this week we have a new CJRB. It's a new Ray Laconico design with CJRB, and it's in some ways kind of the follow-up to the Pyrite, which is, of course, one of their best-selling pocket knives they've ever made. Here it is. We have an exclusive that we're getting to debut at the same time, but I'll get to that after the standard models. It is available in two distinct versions. You have the button lock version, which has everything you would want if you're familiar with the Pyrite. The action you get from it there is fantastic. For opening, you got the wrist flick, you've got the blade cut out for either thumb or middle finger flicking, and you've got that front flipper. Doesn't that look awkward when I do it?
You do a lot of things awkward.
But I'm awkward at front flippers like all the time. Price on these are a little tiny bit more than the standard Pyrite. These are about $57. They're a skosh bigger than the Pyrite, you know, very close, but also Ray Laconico's attached to this, so you got to pay Ray, which is as it should be, of course. So very, very cool. I've said this when this debuted, and I think it's even nicer to see on the liner locking versions with the contoured handles, just the lines of, like the profile of the way this handle shape is drawn out, the tension, the balance on it is just spectacular from a visual standpoint, and also it feels good in the hand too. So it's not just a visual thing. Looks and feels great. I love it. Liner locking versions, you've got a few different micarta and G10 options. The button lock right now for the standard one, I believe it's just the steel, or did we have a G10 option there too? Thomas, do you know?
No.
So I'll look at the website. This is riveting television, isn't it? There is this green micarta. There's also a natural G10. And for the button lock version, which unfortunately does not get the contoured scales, it is just a flat scale, you've got the stainless steel options, both black and stonewashed. Then we have a flat green micarta. There's a carbon fiber as well. So basically kind of take your pick between them. What's the steel made out of, you ask? Well, it's RPM 9 powder metal steel. Very cool stuff, a good performance threshold in this price range for sure. The blade shape itself is sort of a modified sheep's foot, kind of similar to the Pyrite Alt, which also just came out. Has a slightly more angular shape than this Ekko, but similar vibes overall. High flat grind, swedge along the spine here. It's kind of a good blend. It's, in ways, it's almost drop pointish with the amount of belly you've got going on here. I think it's gonna be a great EDC shape. Deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible on these contoured handled versions. The clip is inset. On the steel or the flat versions, it is not, but you still have flush mounted screw heads, so pretty snag free in the pocket. Ball bearings in the pivot. Great action. It's just very cool. I love the stonewashed finish on this green micarta one too. As for our exclusive, it kind of takes its cues from our first Pyrite exclusive. We've added a titanium bolster to this design. We've got it with black micarta scales, or inlays if you want to say, and then a non-reversible titanium milled pocket clip on that side. And the price on this, I think, is where this kind of configuration really shines. You've got that particle steel, you've got the titanium appointments, the milled clip, the great button fidget friendly action going on, just 73 bucks for this awesome, awesome knife right here. Next up, we've got a considerably more expensive knife than these Ekkos. It's Ekko with 2 Ks, by the way. Two new Benchmade gold class Facts dropped today. Very similar, but each with its own distinct personality. These things are going to run about $12.50. That's no decimal points in there. So what do you get for that? Well, I'll start with, which one's my favorite? I kind of like this gold accented or gold appointed version personally better. Just I like the colors, it's good. You've got the 4-inch blade that the Fact is known for with its long, narrow, executive-styled blade, essentially. Loki Damasteel on this one with that nice, striking black finish, but you can still see the layers. Very cool. The handles are marbled carbon fiber, and the liners in the pocket clip are where kind of the extra is added on this. Sometimes gold class knives from Benchmade can feel, I don't mean this in an insulting way, but for some people they may be a little over the top in terms of the contrast and stuff going on. I love what they've done here. They've walked it back just a little bit. You still have a lot of nice, classy appointments without feeling as over the top in a way. Check out the pocket clip first. The finish on there helps it virtually disappear against that marbled carbon fiber. Really neat stuff going on. It's got almost like a hammered finish going on, or slightly machined, something like that. And then the liners have the same treatment applied to them all the way down and back up the front on the outsides. And then the insides, which is going to be hard to see on this one especially, the other one might show a little better on camera, but you've got a jeweled finish on the inside. Very, very nice. Actually, an aside about the carbon fiber there, I called it marbled carbon fiber a second ago, but this is actually a black camo fat carbon. So there you go. You can understand or if you're familiar with the fat carbon stuff, you know the quality that you're paying for right there. And of course, along with just the premium decked out appointments, at the base, its skeleton is that great Fact platform that works so well. 4-inch blade, plenty of reach, but look at how easy that's going to be to carry in the pocket. Not going to take up a lot of width. The actual handle size is not super long. I have slightly larger than average hands, and I've got just about a perfect fit on there. Maybe a tiny little bit extra sticking out here, but it's not really extra. It's just right. Very, very nice. Digging that. The other version right here, same price, very similar, some slight differences. You've got the same black camo fat carbon. You've got a Chad Nichols Damascus here as opposed to the Damasteel powder metal product. This is the Chad Nichols Intrepid Damascus. Not the black and finish. You get a little more of a, shall we say, more traditional Damascus patterning or pattern welded look. Take it or leave it. And then the blue accents, same treatment on the liners. You've got that kind of hammered or faux hammered look on the edges, jeweled look on the inside. Very, very cool. Jeweled or hammered look on the outside of the clip. And this is going to be one of those other things that's hard to notice, I should say, until you have it in your hand. The inside of the pocket clip is rainbow anodized. So you can see it kind of peeking in right here. You've got some golds and purples there that you're not going to notice all the time, but when you do, just pretty darn nice. All right, next up, we have a new Esnyx knives new design from their silver line, I should say. This is the Barracuda slip joint. They start at about $265. This version right here with the Damasteel comes in at $345. And for those of you who don't know, like, what's the difference between just Damasteel and other kinds of Damascus, and that is the base metallurgy they use for Damasteel is actually a powder metal steel, which is RWL34, which is analogous, or is the powder metal version of RWL34, no, ATS34, which is a Japanese version of CPM154. We've got a family tree. We've done this a few times. So basically your RWL34 Damasteel blades, performance-wise, think of CPM154. I'm making sense yet? No. Or is that all alphabet soup for everybody?
More of a stew.
More of a stew. Yeah, you got the thicker letters, I guess.
Yeah, bold.
You got to slow cook them. Good performance from a Damascus product. Let's leave it at that, shall we? Powder metal performance from a Damascus product. Very cool. The handles on this one, black G10 with a titanium integral bolster, integral with the liners themselves. We have a screw together construction on this knife. Action is pretty easy, but nice and snappy feeling. Not a wrist snapping action for sure, but just comfortable. Really good. As far as the build quality, it's quite good. These are built by Riot for Esnyx knives. Several versions of this. Right now, the less expensive versions, you can get some other G10s, an M390 blade steel on those. Actually, some other really cool handle materials going on there also. But the M390, if you're looking for edge retention, that's definitely going to get you more than the Damasteel right here, but you're just not going to get the Damasteel looks. It's going to be a nice, easy knife to carry, kind of an executive-styled slip joint in a way. Very agile, good amount of blade to get stuff done. Not super slicey though, because check out the thickness we're dealing with there. That's, what is it here? I'll use the actual spec, shall I? Yep, about 1/8 of an inch, 0.125 inches with kind of a, we'll say saber height flat grind on a very narrow profile. So it's going to be a little bit wedgy, not super slicey, but you got a lot of edge to work with. For some slicier Damascus, we've got another one to take a look at here, a Spyderco Sprint Run. This is the SpyOpera. This version coming in 406. With that, you've got carbon fiber handles and a Damasteel blade as well, Thor Damasteel, in fact. So your CPM 154/RWL 34 levels of edge retention and toughness right there. Great little size and shape for everyday carry. Built in Italy by Lion Steel, or in partnership with Lion Steel, based on their Opera folder. It's basically Spydercoized it by adding the thumb opening hole, or the blade opening hole right there. It is a lockback, but man, the action on it, ball bearings in the pivot here, it is so smooth and drama-free when you're operating it. You can even flick it open with the ever popular Spidey flick right there, which is pretty impressive always. Handle's nice and neutral, so in addition to a blade length that you can carry just about anywhere, a lot of different hand sizes should have no problem with this either, increasing its carryability and versatility. Deep carry pocket clip hides most of the knife there. It's the wire clip, which is folded over, looks nice and classy, I think, from the outside. Nice appointments. You've got the crowned back spacer, lock bar, and spine of the knife right there. Helps it be nice and comfortable even when using the spider hole as a choke up point or a push off point with your thumb. Just overall super nicely done. Sprint run though, so not going to be around forever. Next up, the Stok neck knives from Spyderco are now in stock. Two different versions. This is a Sjord design. That's the designer's name. And I think I'm pronouncing it almost correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Two blade shapes, each of them $70. You've got the buoy version, or the clip point, and you've got the modified sheep's foot, which they are calling drop point, which is very strange to me. We all know what it is though, don't we? G10 handles, nice and slim on both of those. This is not one that's designed to be like the ultimate comfort in long hours of hard use. It's designed for convenience and ease of carry. So it's going to be there when you need it without making its presence known unnecessarily so. The blade lengths are just under 3 inches, and that is taking into account the measurement from the tip all the way back to the leading edge of the handle scale there. So your sharpen edge will be a little bit less. Full flat grind on this sheep's foot version, more of a saber height flat grind on the buoy. The sheaths are set up out of the box for belt carry, actually. They're made of Boltaron, and they come with Spyderco's G-clip, which allow a little bit of different versatility in terms of mounting angle, and come with the J-style hook here on the back. So you can either slip it onto a belt or inside the hem of your pants, so to speak, and it's not going to come out easily thanks to that kind of J-hooked design. And then if you would rather carry it around your neck, it's kind of a perfect sheath setup for that as well, with the 2 grommet holes with a flat top here. Means you can carry it easily with threaded through both ends of there, and it's thread your neck carry device around that, and it's less likely to rotate and spin around on you thanks to that kind of flat bottomed dual grommeted thing they've got going. Words are hard, but knives are cool. I was gonna say knives are not, but knives should be hard too. There you go. Have I mentioned the steel? 8CR. There you go. Next up, we've got a USA-made Spyderco folder, the Lil Native Wharncliffe, coming in $154 right there. Right there?
Where?
Right now. 2.5 inches is the blade length here. S30V is the steel. Full flat grind on that blade profile, combined with, Spyderco is always proud of their perfectly straight Wharncliffes, which is, believe it or not, can be a little harder to pull off sometimes, and they always do a really good job. Nice sharp edge, perfectly straight, nice acute tip. So you've got plenty of piercing capabilities, controllable piercing capabilities, and still good edge geometry for your more general slicing as well. The beauty of this particular knife, the Lil Native in general, is you've got a 2.5-inch blade, so it is something that can fit into some fairly restrictive locales in terms of knife regulations, but you can still have a pretty darn full grip on it thanks to their forward finger choil there. I have mentioned the size of my hands in this video already. They are slightly larger than average, and for me, I can truly get all 4 of my fingers on there. It's a little bit more than a 3.5 finger grip though. I can feel very secure with all 4 of my digits on there. And I do that I have one of the Lil Native slip joints. Despite the non-locking nature, thanks to the grip characteristics of that knife, I never feel at all like I'm missing out on a lock. But if you want a lock, good news, this knife has Spyderco's compression lock, which means it has that finger-safe action, meaning your fingers never cross the cutting path of the blade when operating that lock, which is just an extra degree of safety that you don't have to think about. And it also allows those wrist flicking motions if you wish, or you could be more deliberate on both, of course. We've also got the wire pocket clip on this knife, which is reversible for either side, tip up carry, as you can see. It's not going to completely hide the knife, but it does get pretty close. Next, we have a limited edition Victorinox. This is the 2023 limited edition Swiss Spirit multi-tool. Comes in $85 with engraved walnut handle scales with scenes of Switzerland. We've got some like skiing stuff here on the back. Nice little timepiece going on there. Some other, actually I'm not sure what's on the front, but it looks cool. Interesting things going on with this. It's not a tool set that's duplicated on any other Swiss Army knife in this form factor, or in fact, any form factor for that matter. There's a tool here I've not seen before, which we'll get to. The primary difference is most of these Swiss Army knives this size, you'll have the main blade, the size and form factor, I should say. You'll have the main blade, and on the opposite side, you'll have a small pen blade, but here we get the fingernail file with nail cleaner instead. That's a pretty cool thing. It's something I look for when I'm EDCing a Swiss Army knife. I tend to just like having that nail file there. You got your pair of scissors right next to it. Also good for trimming nails, I should say, in addition to scads of other household uses. Then, of course, you've got your cap lifter with the screwdriver / pry bar tip and the wire stripper. And as you can see, there's a nice half stop there. So if you need to rotate a screw in that position, you've got a little extra leverage, or you can pop it out all the way. One more tool on the front, I'll get to that last. Backside, you've got the parcel hook, you've got the awl, and you have the corkscrew. Moving back to the front, however, instead of a can opener, check this out. This is a package blade or a package opener. It maintains the kind of top end of the standard Victorinox can opener in that you can use it for small Phillips or flathead screw driving, but you've got essentially some big chisel ground serrations here underneath this slightly sharp angle or curve on the front. That's kind of neat. I could see this working really, really well on stuff like those, heavy plastic clam packaging that stuff comes in that's always impossible to open safely. That's the caveat. Hook that in there. You could, zip right along the sides of those things, I think, really nicely. In addition to, of course, being great opening tape that holds boxes shut, that sort of thing, all while keeping your main blade cleaner, potentially for food prep, and sharper, since Victorinox's steel doesn't hold an edge super, super long. It's fairly soft, so it's easy to sharpen, yes, but that's another great way to save a little bit of the edge you do have. very cool. Limited this year, 2023. Swiss Army, or Victorinox, of course. Sometimes they just call it Swiss Army. It's fine. It's weird. Victorinox, of course, makes way more pocket knives than any other company in the world by a wide margin. So for them, limited, in this case, is 12,000. But there's a lot more people buying these than people buying Benchmades and Spydercos and that sort of thing. So this year only. Don't wait too long if you want one. Next up, how about a fixed blade? Yes, please. ZT's 0006, the number 6 ZT, is now available, has been released. $320, made in the USA. It feels awesome. We've got a 6-inch blade of 3V steel. It is kind of a drop point, well, it is a drop point, not kind of a drop point. Drop point with a high flat grind, appropriate blade stock thickness. That's gonna be, it's about 3/16 of an inch. What's the spec sheet say? 0.189. Oh, 3/16 is 0.187 or 1.825, 1.87. It's 3/16 of an inch. I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah.
I think it's 1.875, and this is 1.89, so maybe that's with the coating on it. We'll go with that. It's a cool blade shape, and it's kind of what leads to this being marketed by ZT, at least, as a bit of a hybrid. They kind of focus this, backing up. At first blush, just take a look at this. I'd say this was a combat knife design. Definitely tactical, thanks mostly to the crossguard here, giving it that kind of characteristic. But Zero Tolerance is kind of pushing the outdoor angle with this a little bit. And I can absolutely see that in the blade. I mean, 6-inch blade, high flat ground, 3/16 of an inch, 3V. That's like a laundry or a fantastic ingredient list for an outdoor blade. And the rendition here, I think, is also fantastic. You got chamfered edges to keep things easier to control, or more comfortable to control, I should say. If you're going to use this batoning, splitting wood, it's not going to tear up your baton as much. If I were to change one thing about this to kind of make it match up to ZT's marketing, in my mind, for an outdoor knife, I'd take the back side of the guard off. It's not a huge one. You can certainly work around it doing the outdoor tasks you need, but it is a little bit in the way, in my opinion, anyway. Does that take away from what the knife is? No. But, like I said, if I'm trying to match their marketing, there you go. In a way, it's kind of a good hybrid. I do always say that, the survival knife is a cross between a tactical knife and a more mundane outdoor knife, and this definitely does blend those two things quite well. You've got not a huge guard, enough of one there to be effective. Little bit that could get in the way, but it's not so much that it's gonna start to feel unusable for some of those finer carving tasks that you might want to use this knife for. So I'll give it to them. We'll go with that. Handles are G10. It is a neutral kind of rectangular or octagonal shape. Rectangular, I guess, this way, but cross section is octagonal there. So the corner's knocked off. It has a bit of kind of classic outdoor knife, like classic old school construction. Think of like the old hickory knives and the old trade knives and butcher knives, that sort of thing, that were used so extensively on the frontier. It's really cool. Full tang heading down. You've got a butt cap screwed into the tang here, which helps secure the removable scales as well. Also gives you a point for hammering on things if you need to in an out and about scenario. I like it. I think it's really, really nicely done. The sheath is made from Kydex. There it is, clicks in quite nicely. Does have a little bit of rattle, but you do also have an extra retention strap there for some extra security. Drop loop for your belt. Pattern, or hole pattern on the front of this though is gonna help with versatility. You cannot do a large tech lock with these two holes, but if you're utilizing the slots underneath, you certainly can. Let's see if a small tech lock will do it. That might be what we're dealing with here. Nope, doesn't quite fit a small tech lock either. So right up here, it's maybe a little off on that regard, but you do have the slots. And actually, there's plenty of space here to add an extra hole if you wanted to personally. If you wanted it to fit one of your attachment points just a little bit better. Very, very cool. After a big fixed blade, we got to show a big folder, and the Mike Snowdy designed Xcellerator from Artisan Cutlery has now been released. $98 and some change for these. You've got a nearly 4-inch blade, RPM 9 powder metallurgy steel, available with black coating or with a stonewashed finish. Both of those blades available with green or black micarta options. I love the green on black here, is very striking. The gold accent points on it only further that. Gold backspacer there with hidden lanyard point to pop things a little further, and then a single position milled titanium pocket clip with that Mike Snowdy logo there on the end of it. Very, very nice. The action is excellent. Ball bearings in the pivot. Very cool. What I really dig about this personally, like the feeling I get in the hand, looking on paper, the handle does look like it tapers pretty significantly, but you've got some nice control over it and really agile feeling control despite it being such a big blade. I've said this sometimes, every once in a while you'll pick up a knife and the feeling you get from it is that it just kind of wants to move, and I'm getting a bit of that here. It's ready to go, it's ready to work. Big blade, beefy enough construction, but it doesn't feel cumbersome, which is cool. In addition to kind of the standard grip here, I like the area around the pivot here. It's got a little bit of inner contour, kind of matching the overall handle contour or handle line, I should say. But what's nice about it is choke up a little bit, put your index finger there, and all of a sudden that transforms the knife even further to an even more controllable blade. Keep going, pinch up on the blade. You've got even more going on. That blade cutout gives a great anchor point for stuff like that. Yeah, this is one of those things where on paper versus in hand, completely different impression. In hand, I'm getting a nice versatile platform that has a lot of big reach, can do big work, but does not, like I said it before, I'll say it again, doesn't feel cumbersome at all. Very cool. Next up, we have got a case knife. This is the latest in their modern folding lineup. We did see this at SHOT Show. This is the Westline, comes in about $160 right now. Made in the USA, right alongside the slip joints in Bradford, Pennsylvania, which is pretty cool. First off, the big difference between this and the earlier releases, the Kinzu and the Marilla, apart from, of course, being a different pattern, is this is an assisted opening knife with a liner lock, as opposed to a non-assisted frame locking knife. The action is not as strong as some out there. I find I want to just make sure I give it a little extra push off of my thumb when I'm doing it to help with the consistency a little bit. What I really dig though is this is by far, compared to those other two releases, the most original pattern they've come up with for this new modern series. I mean, definitely looks like nothing else out there, and it definitely looks like something that is going to be fit for a lot of work. This has got utilitarian nature all over it, and I dig it. The handle certainly contributes to that. It's got a nice kind of rugged, tumbled red finish over the aluminum construction. It's got a comfortable feel in the hand, and then the blade itself, angular, fantastic for utility work, good for precise detail work with that tip. We'll call this a modified Wharncliffe. It's probably what we call that. We call it a modified drop point on the website. I think in use, it's gonna feel more Wharncliffe-y than drop pointy, but that's me splitting hairs there. I love, again, kind of similar to the Xcellerator we just looked at, there's the capability to kind of choke up on this knife. We've got some prominent jimping here right behind the leading or the heel of the sharpened edge, and a lot along the spine there. Makes a choked up grip feel excellent. The control there, the precision, the leverage you're gonna be able to get on that when needed, I think is really, really nice. Pinch grip also feels pretty good. The S35 VN steel is gonna give you good performance. It's about 3.2 inches overall. Some nice details. I like they've kind of lifted something that Kershaw has famously used on the Blur for so many years. That's that stepped and angled thumb stud right there. That's gonna make it real easy to use, especially if you're wearing work gloves. They're gonna grab on there quite nicely. And again, I think that really does lean into the nice hardworking character of this knife. Last little detail, reversible deep carry pocket clip. So you can carry it either side and nice and out of the way. Next up, we have got a button lock Jake Hoback knife, a button lock Kwaiback. This comes in about 480 bucks. This one is built by Wee Knives for Jake, and it is a really, really cool iteration right here. 20 CV blade steel, 3 3/4 of an inch long, trailing point Tonto profile, stone-washed finish. Looks great against the stone-washed titanium. Got a hint of contour, alongside or in conjunction with the milled out center section there. Nice, full, solid grip for heavier jobs. But something about the Kwaiback, it's always been about style too. It's not just working hard. You gotta look good while you're working hard. I really like what they've done here with the button lock itself. It is low profile, it's not sticking out too far, so it's less likely to get accidentally disengaged if you're kind of monkeying around, pushing through a hard task, so to speak. And then it's kind of got this stepped and inset thing going on in the frame there. Counter side of that, you're definitely gonna have to be a little more precise when disengaging it, but the added safety that that brings to the table is definitely a cool thing. As you can see, you've got that flipper tab at the back. You've also got a front flipper. Let's see how clumsy I can look doing this one. Okay, I can slow roll it mostly fine. Again, apologies to all the front flipper makers out there that I stink so bad at doing front flipping. I don't mean to make you look bad. It's not your fault. It's all mine. Please.
I'm comfortable with that.
You say that a lot. It's not always my fault when you say it, though. This time it is. It's a cool knife, you guys. It works great. It feels good. It's got that great action. Lockup itself feels super, super stable. There you go. Next up, how about something a lot smaller? The Hamster from QSP. New versions of this, 140 for this knife. 2-inch S35 VN blade with bi-directional satin finished grains going on. It's pretty cool for such a small knife. The handle is titanium. You've got some nice shaping and milling going on. Flipping action needs a little bit of wrist, but part of that is such a small knife. I'm finding myself, okay, that worked just fine. Maybe I just got to get used to the blade. There you go. Working pretty well. Milled titanium pocket clip, frame lock stability, which feels very, very stable indeed. Kind of a 2.5 finger grip for me in general, but you've got plenty decent amount of blade right there, quite honestly. Works, I think it's gonna be, it's kind of nice living space, shall we say, is really gonna be just basic, smaller, medium duty utility, opening boxes and packages, that sort of thing. You're not gonna be taking this to a warehouse job, I wouldn't think though. I'd be a little diminutive for that. But for a small premium knife with such a compact blade, I think it's built super, super well. All right, we started the video with some more affordable stuff. We're gonna end things the same way with a couple new Sencuts. The first here is the Scitus, or Scitus? It's an O-stop hell design. Not sure how the name of the knife itself is pronounced, but the price is about 46 bucks. And the materials for that are really, really nice. 3.5-inch blade, D2 steel, bit of a drop point characteristic to it, high flat grind, aggressive swedge, or full length swedge. I don't know if I call it aggressive, it's not super deep. Really, really nice looking blade shape. Feels like it's gonna be very slicey, very effective day to day with the ball bearings and the pivot. It flips really well. G10 for the handles, deep carry pocket clip, which, in a surprise for this price point, is both inset into the handle scales and uses flush mounted screws. So it is secure and snag free when you go to re-pocket that blade. Very cool. It's also reversible, which is another nice little thing. Liner lock for security. Yeah, man, feels great. All 4 of my fingers fit on there, no problem at all. D2 is gonna give you great edge retention for something under 50 bucks. Sometimes give you good edge retention for things up to the $100 price point these days too. Next up, another Sencut. This is the Fritch, also coming in at a $45 price point here. Steel in this case is 9CR series stainless, so edge retention along the lines of 440C. So not quite as much edge retention probably as that D2, but a lot more corrosion resistance going on. The blade itself is 3 inches, kind of a modified sheep's foot. Handle feels a little bit chunkier than the Scitus, or that was it? Yeah, the Scitus. Even though in actuality, they're actually the same thickness, but this thing has more kind of robust or chunky feeling character to it. It's interesting how that can feel so different even though the actual dimensions are the same. Very interesting. Ball bearings in the pivot, flipper tab, and thumb studs for the opening action, and that blade feels really strong right there. You can do some really big cuts, I think, with it. I could be wrong, but I don't know, just something about this feels chunky in a small way. Does that make sense? Got a big shrug from Thomas over there. I don't know, it just feels like a good, just no-nonsense utility pattern overall. I dig it. Deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible. It's not inset, but you do have the flush-mounted screws. And last but not least, we have a Ferrum forge knife right here. This is the Zelex. Comes with a D2 blade at 2 3/4 of an inch long. Black G10 handles on this one, but there are a few different options. Ball bearings with a liner lock, reversible, no, single position deep carry clip here. Very, very small, subtle clip going on. Inside the pocket, that is going to be very unobtrusive, very classy, very not attention grabbing, which is kind of what they were going for here. About 70 bucks for this. The action feels great. Got your Tonto profile with that D2 steel for some good edge retention. You might, yeah, you can even slow roll, or at least I can slow roll that in a thumb front flippy type of way. Maybe some of the more skilled out there. Oh, I just did it a second ago. Why can't I do it again?
They're your hands.
I did it the one time. You saw it. It was on camera. So again, this is all my fault. This is not the knife's fault. There you go. It's the Zelex from Ferrum Forge. It looks cool. The price is pretty decent. And it should work well for years to come. What more do you want? That's all we've got for today. However, if you do want more, stick around for next week. We'll have another one of these videos next Thursday as well. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. While you're there, of course, don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, because the more of these knives you buy today, the more free money you're going to get to spend on a future one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.